Okay, so to change a flat tire, I'm going to go through the simple steps you need to follow to make sure that you get the job done right and safely. In this situation, again, we're just making sure that we know how to change a flat tire and that we have all the right tools. So first you need the jack. Okay, this is what's going to lift the car up. We'll put that over here. Secondly, you need the bolt remover so that you can loosen up all the bolts that are holding the tire onto the car. And lastly, you need this piece that's going to help us raise the car up. So most cars have 5 bolts, some cars have 6 bolts. Being that this is a bigger car, there are 6 bolts on this car, so we're going to have to remove all 6 bolts before we take off the tire. It's always recommended that you loosen the bolt up just a little bit before you raise the car, because if you raise the car and then you start loosening the bolts up, there's a chance the car could fall off. So your first step to do is loosen up all the bolts. Don't take them out all the way, just loosen them up a little bit, then raise the car up enough so that the tire is off the ground, and then simply remove all the remaining bolts and pull the tire right out. So we're going to start doing that. Now sometimes the bolts are on very tight, so you may need to use some of your body and some of your muscles and some of your strength to remove the bolts. Hopefully the bolts are not too tight on this one and we'll be able to do it. So we'll get started. Okay, now we got off the tire that got a flat. It didn't get a flat, we're just making sure we know how to change it in the event. So all the tools that we used were the correct tools that we needed, and we got the tire off, and now we can put the new good tire on the car. Now putting the tire back on the car is the same instructions as taking it off, except backwards. So we're gonna put the tire, position it well, and then we're gonna tighten up the bolts just by hand, nothing too tight. We're gonna raise the car back down on the ground. Once it's back on the ground, then we could tighten up everything, and make sure you go opposite bolts. So if you're gonna do the top bolt, then you do the bottom bolt, and then you do the right, and then you do the left. This way the tire gets pushed on evenly. If you push the top bolt all the way in, then the bottom bolt might not be able to go in because of the angle. So very easy, put the tire back on, and we'll be ready to hit the road again and make sure that we know how to change a flat tire. And of course, this applies to all the tires. They're all the same process. So now we're going to bring the tire back, the car back down to the ground, and then tighten up with all the power that we have. All right, so the car is now back, tire is touching the ground again. We could pull out the jack. Very good. And we use the end side again to the right. You tighten to the right and you loosen to the left. Again, on, give it a good tight. Good. And then go across. Give it a good tight. And then across. Give it a good tight. And there goes the microphone. Good, tight, and good, tight. Very good. Now that we've made sure we know how to change the tire of the car, and we've made sure that we've had all the right equipment that we need, I like to think of the tires as a car and tie it into our Christianity. Now there's 4 tires on the car, which represents the 4 pillars: prayer, communion, fasting, and reading the Bible. Now each of these on their own is very important, but it's together that gives us the full Christian life and the full meaning of life. If we're driving on the car and one tire is bad, the whole car is going to be shaking. And that's the same thing with the pillars. If we don't pray and we do everything else, there's going to be something missing and something wrong. And again, the same thing on the tires. So it's very important to make sure all your tires are in tip-top shape. We change them right away if we need to, because if they do stop on us all of a sudden, such as what's happened as we were driving, or if we all of a sudden stopped reading the Bible, we're not going to be fulfilled, and we're going to feel that something is missing in our lives, and that's when we start questioning our faith. But together, all 4 of them together is what gets us from where we are and where we need to be safely and in good hands.